Okay, let's start with case study 4. This is part of the additional material. In the additional material, I'll start with case study 4, page 23 of the additional material. Page 23 of the additional material. Let's start. Dream Homes, a US based MNC, started its Indian operations with opening of few stores in its nascent phase. In recent times, it started running nationwide stores in India, selling range of home-based products right from home improvement tools, decors, electronic appliances to small kitchen utilities like steel pans, non-stick dishes, kitchen organization, knives, cardboards, countertop stickers, ice cream molds, chocolate molds, and alike. It had gained a wide popularity, particularly among the ladies group of India, since its expansion of the product line. Previously, it was selling just the intermittently purchased home-based products like furniture and appliances. It was the extended accessibility to daily utilities that elated the ladies group about visiting the stores. Some even referred Dream Homes as one-stop search for all their necessities. Basic background: it's a US-based MNC which has started its Indian operation by opening few stores. Good part is it provides wide variety to people, a wide variety of goods. In fact, a lot of us would prefer to go to a store, a single store, if that store can kind of cater to all our requirements, whatever we want. So here it is providing, it is like acting like a one-stop search, one-stop solution for all the necessities of the end customer. Maybe this could be their core competence as well. Dream Homes manufactures some of the products rather than making an outright purchase and sales thereof of all its product. To make various kind of furniture and kitchen based small utilities, it derived its raw material directly from local market, which are mostly the recycled materials like plastics, scrapped items, used furniture and alike, rather than the raw wood, forest products and first hand products. Its raw material was therefore capable of generating various forms of WIP. WIP and finished product relation worked in similar fashion. From a particular WIP, it was capable of generating multiple products. Therefore, the firm kept its material cost low, primarily relied on the recycling process, thereby keeping up its pledge to serve the environment. Now, it is manufacturing some of the goods, also some. Just a minute. It is manufacturing some of the products. This company is manufacturing some of the products, and for some of the products they are making an outright purchase. Manufacture some of the products, so balance could be an outright purchase also. It also relies on recycled raw material. It relies on recycled raw material and not the first hand raw material. So somewhere it is also trying to serve the environment. Triple bottom line: people, planet and profit. If you want to be a sustainable organization, you will have to take care of society as well as your social bottom line. You will have to take care of all of them. For the in-house manufactured products, the materials department of the company functioned in the below manner. Manager of the department kept a watch on each type of inventory levels in the warehouse, estimated the required production based on historical demand and long-term forecasting policies of the firm. A room was also left for safety stock, so any unforeseen delay could be covered. Based on the existing inventory and production plan and safety stock, inventory replenishment levels were calculated. Once the stock reached its reordering level, an order to replenish the stock was being sent to the vendor. Based on the departmental orders, vendor delivered the material. This is a basic approach they followed. Manager will keep a tab on the amount of inventory. He was estimating the production based on some historical demand data. Some safety stock was also maintained. Replenishment levels, your reorder levels were calculated, and once the stock reaches the reorder level, you will replenish the stock. To manufacture the finished product, to convert the raw material to finished product, the processing time was 3 weeks. It will approximately take 4 weeks to deliver the in-house manufactured product from the time order is received. Standard lead time of similar products in the industry is 2.5 weeks. So what I've been doing is I've been taking 3 weeks to convert the raw material to a finished product and 4 weeks to deliver it. So the order will come maybe in 1 week. I analyze something or I plan something, I start manufacturing and then I deliver it. So it takes me 4 weeks. In the industry it's happening at 2.5 weeks. For products purchased outrightly, a purchase order was prepared by the purchasing department based on the inventory and expected demand. Some of the products did show a sketchy demand pattern with surge in demand for lame reasons. However, the department did not take into account safety stock since the cost to maintain were high and cost of these products itself were high enough. The problem, however, was failure to meet surprise orders or sudden increase in demand. For outright purchases, I am not maintaining any safety stock. My demand pattern of the goods do show some surge in demand sometimes, but I was not maintaining any safety stock because the cost to maintain was very high, and because of this I could not fulfill some of the orders. People were getting busier and there was hardly any time to procrastinate buying things they need until they could visit the stores based on their availability. Moreover, it was just the metro cities that had overwhelming number of stores, but states like Gujarat and Odisha remained an untapped market with very few stores. Dream Home's agenda was not just to add more variety but to reach people since it perceived manifold needs were yet unmet. Basic approach saying that people are kind of getting busier, they will not be delaying to buying things, and whatever is available they would like to buy it. As of now, our focus has been more on the metro cities. Some of the cities were untapped which had huge potential. They are saying our objective is not just to add variety to the existing offering but also to meet the needs of the around all the people around the country. Going digital was a challenge since its popularity was limited to its store's location and therefore it was dubious of its acceptability among the nationwide customer. Going digital is getting into e-commerce. It was prepared for an extensive marketing of its digital channels through, and funds was not a problem. Having heard about the peaking demand of businesses for e-customer, it was supportive of the idea and considered to follow the suit. So again a question on e-commerce. From its US operation, it was very well aware about the expectation of its e-customers and the quality of service. They tend to be progressively demanding and expect their orders to be processed in couple of hours after being placed. So they're saying the e-commerce set of customers would want their orders to be processed within few hours. They do not want to grapple with the tracking information. They need real-time update of their package location, so there are no abrupt surprises about the delivery and the condition. They like to purchase from e-sellers who offer competitive prices with free shipping and on-time delivery. That is all too much for a developing market like India. So customer wants order to be processed in few hours. Tracking should be there on a real-time basis. They don't want any surprises about delivery time or the condition of the package. On top of that, they also want competitive prices, free shipping. So there are a lot of expectation as far as the e-customers are concerned. E-commerce customer. Labor cost is relatively low in India, but the infrastructure is not adequately sound to guarantee the same level of service. Indian market is not similar to the US market, there being an immense cultural gap. Income is not remarkably high and hence they can spend sparingly on things that are not paramount on their list. Kitchen items, though marked as necessities by the women's section, were not real necessities in economic sense. Hence the firm thought of applying paradigm of target costing, so set the prices of their online products such that they remain competitive before the e-customer. Now I'll talk about a little bit on the target costing as we proceed. Firm also needs a flawless SCM system in Indian environment, but the back office had little knowledge about this aspect and it did not see the light of the day. Now they need you to help out with the SCM look of dream homes. Discuss the suitability of target costing, critically assess the current inventory management, recommend changes, advise the SCM look for dream homes as per the requirement. Please go through the question. Go through the question. Okay, see, I am a multinational company. I have a combination of in-house manufactured product as well as outright purchase and sale. So I'm a manufacturer as well as a trader. Manufacturer as well as a trader. I'm basically offering a range of home-based products. Somewhere my core competence looks to be ability to provide a wide variety of goods. What also is happening is I get to know that I am catering majorly to the metros, and there is a huge untapped market in the other places, 2 tier cities and 3 tier cities. I am not meeting them, so that unmet demand I felt I can get into e-commerce mode. When I'm getting into e-commerce mode, I've also understood what are the expectations of my end customer. They want order to be processed immediately. They don't want any waiting time there. Order is to be processed immediately. Real-time update of information is needed. You will have to give free delivery, on-time delivery. So there are a lot of expectation, and the price also has to be competitive. Now, in order to get into the e-commerce, the first thing I felt is I will use a technique called as target costing. I'll use a technique called as target costing, so set the prices for my online product. And also I want to understand what kind of changes have to happen in my current inventory management system, because if I'm shifting to e-commerce, maybe the model may not work. And they are also saying how the SCM should look for dream homes as per the requirement. Before we just a minute. Okay, this organization is planning to use a technique called as target costing. You'll learn about this later on, but just a simple thing I'll explain here. Target costing is a technique which they want to use. A simple explanation so that we can discuss in this case study, but a detailed part will be learnt later. Okay, now what happens in a target costing is, few years back the pricing used to be like this: cost plus profit is equal to selling price. This was a simple approach organizations used. This was a simple approach organizations were using to fix the price of a product. They were very clear. They said cost is there, add a profit margin to it and end up fixing the price. Cost plus profit is equal to selling price. That was a simple approach which organizations were using. But now what happened is, because the market shifted from a seller's market to a buyer's market, nowhere people were ready to pay because of inefficiency of the companies. A lot of manufacturers were inefficient. When they were inefficient, they were spending more on a product. If you spend more on a product, you will say the selling price will also be more, because your cost is higher, your selling price will also be higher. What target costing said is, first step, find target selling price. How is this found? By market analysis. You look at the current market scenario, look at what price the customer would like to buy the product, look at what price the customer would want to buy the product. So do a market survey, market research, and understood at what price can you sell. After finding the target selling price, estimate target profit. Who will decide the profit? The management. The management will decide, the board of directors and the other people will set and decide, saying that this much is the kind of profit we want to operate at. Based on this, target cost is equal to target selling price minus target profit. Target selling price minus target profit. Fourth is basically calculate actual cost. See if there is a need to reduce the cost. There's something called as value engineering. All that will be done to reduce the cost. But the approach now is, you first estimate the selling price, you estimate the profit margin. Cost is a balancing figure. Cost is a balancing figure. Earlier, cost plus profit was deciding the selling price. Now cost rarely decides the selling price in the market. If you can sell it at this price, you sell it. For example, if I'm entering into a market and I'm going to sell a similar product which is already there in the market, if I'm going to sell a similar product, somewhere my pricing has to be closer to the competitors who are already operating in the market. I cannot say that my cost is high, so I want to fix a higher price. So that is what target costing does. These are the steps in target costing. Suitability of target costing. Target costing helps in identification of a suitable price at which a product is to be manufactured to generate a desired profitability at desired selling price. So it will help us in knowing suitable cost at which a product is to be manufactured to generate a desired profitability at a desired selling price. You will get to know at what cost you will have to manufacture a product. At what cost you will have to manufacture a product. Target costing is extremely useful. When you are able to see intense competition in the market. When you are seeing a lot of competition in the market, you also see that buyers have some bargaining power. If you see buyers having bargaining power, buyers having lot of expectations, then what normally happens is you get into this technique of target costing, because it will tell you at what cost you will have to manufacture. Whenever the competition is intense, is planning to digitize its business. Digitizers get into e-commerce where competition is intense. In an e-commerce model, I have so many websites which are there. There is Amazon, there is Flipkart, there are other players who are there in the market, and there will be lot of sellers of a product also. There will be lot of sellers there. You don't try to say that this seller is good, this seller is bad. It's mostly the Amazon or the Flipkart is what comes to your mind, but it is very difficult for you to differentiate in an e-commerce model. When it's a physical product, a person visits you, there's an experience which he gets when he visits you. He understands what kind of quality the product is going to offer. The explanations which you give, he gets convinced, you are able to convince the customer, you are able to sell. But in an e-commerce model, it's the machine which is talking to the customer. It's the machine which is talking to the customer. So they're saying there is limited alternative available, there is limited means available to differentiate. Then what should you do? You should sell quality products. You should sell quality products at low prices. Quality products at low prices. Now how can I sell at low prices? I can do that if I'm able to follow target costing, decide the price, and reverse work and get to the cost. Reverse work and get to the cost. They're also saying you can implement just in time. This will be useful for part 2 of the question. They're saying what advice do you want to give on the inventory management system. So I can go through a technique called as just in time. Now I can use target costing for this e-commerce business. I also understand that I can use not only for manufactured goods, it can also be used for your traded goods. What is traded goods? Is you are buying and selling them immediately. You are buying and selling them immediately. Can be applied for both manufactured and purchased products. In case of manufacturing, it can help you in controlling. It can help you in controlling the various variable and fixed costs so that you can lower the prices. For purchased goods, I was saying you that when we did just in time, we understood that we need to have a long-term relationship with supplier. Supplier relationship management is very, very critical. So what it can do is it can help you in giving the product at the earliest possible time, good quality and all is possible. Also if you enter into long-term agreements, there's a possibility of getting discount from the suppliers. When we were doing in another area, they were saying there are two types of suppliers. One is the traditional set of supplier, and second is the strategic supplier, where you enter into long-term agreement. So here, if you enter into long-term agreement, it can help you in also reducing the purchase price, which ultimately will lead to reduced selling price, which will ultimately, again I'm repeating, the cost has no linkage to the selling price, but I need to reduce cost so that I meet the target cost. Now I also need to have certain changes on the inventory management system. Critically assess the current inventory management system and recommend suitable changes. Now in the inventory management system, what I could find is you are forecasting your demand based on historical trends. Your forecast is happening based on historical trend and long-term forecasting. Long-term forecasting could be a 5-year forecasting or a 10-year forecasting or a 3-year forecasting, something like that you have been doing. That's what this organization has been doing. Also there is safety stock being maintained. These are two critical factors I wanted to discuss on. So they are saying you are currently also having safety stock. Because of the safety stock, what happens? The safety stock is going to influence an item called as average inventory, which will obviously lead to high amount of carrying cost. So high inventory at physical stores blocking large amount of investment. When it blocks large amount of investment on the liability side, you will need loans to be taken. If you take loans, you will have interest expense. high safety stock is being maintained. This is because you are not able to forecast the demand properly, or you are not very certain about this. On top of this, there was one point on lead time. We are operating at 4 weeks. The industry is operating at 2.5 week. My customer in the e-retailing industry wants it in few hours. The processing of the order should happen within few hours. That is what the expectation of the end customer in the e-retailing industry. So this high lead time will also be a problem. And demand forecasting, I already told you, it cannot be on some historical trends and all. Historical trends and all will not work. For example, in the COVID scenario, if you go ahead and do your demand forecasting based on historical trends, it is going to be a big trouble for the company. You should get into current market trends. What are the current market trends indicating, and based on that you predict the near term demand scenario and then do the manufacturing. Also, I think organization should try to shift to a technique called as just-in-time production and just-in-time purchases. These two are also very critical. If you can get into jet purchasing and jet production needs to be set up in the company. If you can get into this will help you in reducing the overall inventory. Also will help you in reducing the lead time, because there is going to be better streamlining of flow of parts. When you analyze jet also says that there should be better streamlining of information. Because of this better streamlining of not information alone, parts, the movement of parts will be there from one process to the second process to the third process to the fourth process. You would try to avoid waiting time in any of the processes. You will try to avoid waiting time. So when that is avoided, you will also be able to reduce lead time. Now, a lot of organizations are also using a technique called as vendor managed inventory. I've seen this practically when I went for an audit of a company. This company had entered into a vendor managed inventory arrangement. What is vendor managed inventory is, I am the manufacturer ABC Limited. My supplier is supplier A. I will not maintain any inventory at my end. I will tell my supplier to maintain as well as manage the inventory. They will be provided access to my ERP. Whatever data points I'll have to, whatever modules I'll have to give access to them, I'll give them access to my ERP, wherein they will have information on how much inventory is getting consumed, the rate at which inventory is getting consumed, how much inventory is there at warehouse, how much inventory is there at retail store, how much inventory is there at distribution center. Finally, what happens is, this guy has to ensure I do not run out of stock, and obviously he would not like to maintain a very high inventory also, because he'll also be maintaining some inventory and he'll also be tracking, because if inventory goes up, his cost will go up. So somewhere whatever cost I incur on inventory management, I pass it on to supplier. Now why would the supplier do? I may compensate him little better on the selling price. I may compensate him on the price part of it. He will be able to charge a relatively better price. So that's one compensation I'll give to my supplier. So he will be okay with it because he's getting a better price, and maybe he wants to get an order from my company, so he may want to shift to this. So vendor managed inventory is an increasingly used technique by a lot of people. Mostly it will be used by bigger corporates, and they'll tell some of their suppliers to do this. Last part is your designing of SCM. They're saying, why don't you tell how can we follow supply chain management? How can we follow supply chain management for this organization? Now they have just told few critical aspects here. One is get into this VMI, vendor managed inventory for your purchased goods. VMI is very critical. Get into this vendor managed inventory, and also it is critical that you have supplier relationship management enter into a long-term relationship with your supplier. Enter into a long-term relationship with your supplier. Strong collaboration is needed. Please don't keep changing the suppliers frequently just because you are getting better price. So strong collaboration with supplier that can help you in reducing lead time, reducing cost, improving quality. Quality will improve, lead time will reduce, cost will reduce. Also, if quality is bad, then you will have to struggle with lot of returns also, because in e-selling model returns are frequently possible, and it's ease of returns. When you're buying from Amazon or Flipkart, it is easy for you to return goods, so that is also something which can happen. So organization should try to do this. Also, for in-house manufactured goods, for the manufactured goods also you need a dedicated set of supplier, and they talked about one thing called as reducing touch points. This is an extremely important area, reducing touch points. What is this reducing touch point? Is supplier, manufacturer, logistics partner, distributor, retailer, and finally the customer. If you have so many touch points in between, supplier gives to the manufacturer, manufacturer gives to the distributor, distributor gives it to the retailer, distributor may give it to a sub distributor. So if so many touch points are there, touch points is basically the goods go through these many set of people. If you have more touch points, every touch point will increase the cost, not only because the manufacturer incurs some cost, the distributor incurs, the logistics partner incurs some cost, also there is some margin which they keep adding. Everybody in the chain will keep adding margin. Everybody in the chain will keep adding margin, which will ultimately increase the price. The objective is to reduce this to the extent possible. I think if you are interested in reading this, read about IKEA, the furniture maker. They tried doing this and reduce a lot of touch points. They're in fact trying to do a direct sale to the end customer. They went ahead and tried to reduce the number of touch points, because of which what happened is cost was on the lower side. When cost was on the lower side, you were able to, when the cost was on the lower side, you were able to pass it on to the end customer. Also, when you're entering into e-commerce, timely delivery is very critical. It is difficult for me to be close to the end customer. It is difficult for me to be very close to the end customer. If I'm close to the end customer, I can quickly deliver the product. So maybe I'll have to have at least multiple distribution centers, not only a single distribution center. You cannot be supplying from Chennai to all the locations. So maybe you may have to have multiple distribution center. So somewhere you are closer to the end customer. If you are closer to the end customer, it will make it easier for you to supply the product in a timely manner. Also, in your distribution centers, an order comes, manually the employee goes and picks up the product. There are a lot of errors which can happen. So they're saying if you can use robotics technology to pick up the goods. So whenever orders come, the robo will go, they'll pick up the goods, pack it, some human participation will be there, and then you pass it on to the, and then you ship it to the end customer. Also for your marketing purpose, do data mining. A lot of people will be doing, when I'm trying to buy something in Amazon, I do a search of it. This data goes to Amazon. They start recommending me certain products based on my search history. That's happening because of these data scientists. They'll be able to pull data based on customer searches, which can be analyzed to recommend products. Also, if you want to enhance your goodwill, enhance your brand presence, you do TV advertisements, banners, all of that can be done. So this is how SCM would be implemented. You need a strategy for your purchased goods. You need a strategy for your manufactured goods. Somewhere a close collaboration with suppliers would be needed. A long-term relationship will be needed with them. You should be in close proximity to the customer. You can use robotics technology to pick up the goods with there will be minimal human participation, so there will not be errors, and you can also use data scientists for marketing purpose. You can go through the solution now. Okay, I'll move to question 5 now. Nation Smart is the supplier of packed grocery items to local kirana shop and departmental stores under a franchisee model. Such local kirana shop and departmental stores are not an exclusive franchisee of Nation Smart, because certain other items such as veggies, cosmetics, eggs and bread etc., which are not offered by Nation Smart, these local kirana shops and departmental stores are free to buy from other supplier. Basic background: they are basically a supplier of packed grocery items. Nation Mart offers items under its own brand. They purchase these grocery items either directly from the manufacturers or from their established suppliers at a significant discount, part of which it passes to such franchisee local kirana shop and department stores. It is estimated that such local kirana shop and departmental stores save around 8 to 12% of purchase price. So somewhere their strategy is to buy it at a significant discount from their supplier, pass on some benefit to their customer, basically the local kirana shop. And for inbound logistics, since its establishment, inbound logistics is getting it from the supplier. Nation Mart relies upon the manufacturer or their established suppliers, and in some case use the service of haulage contractors working on behalf of these manufacturer or suppliers. Nation Mart purchases items into their large and multi-purpose regional warehouse, have facilities for repackage into smaller units, has designated geographic areas to serve. Nation Mart sales representative conduct the meeting with each franchisee after every 8 weeks to decide the weekly standing order quantity for the upcoming 8 weeks. Such weekly standing orders delivered to these local kirana shop through specialist haulage contractors local to the regional warehouse. Such local kirana shop and department stores can increase the order through phone or email, but cannot reduce until the next meeting. So they take the order for the 8-week period. The customers have the flexibility to increase it but can never reduce it. Board of directors recognize the need to review the supply chain to enhance the brand recognition of Nation Mart, and also address the issue raised by the franchisee regarding inflexible ordering and delivery system. How can it restructure its supply chain, presuming it keeps on supplying the repackaged items? Please go through this. Okay, now coming to this case study, it is basically on changing your supply chain, model, that is making review the entire supply chain. You want to, one, enhance the brand recognition, also address the issue raised by the franchisee regarding inflexible ordering and delivery system. The inflexibility is you get the orders for every 8 weeks, weekly standing order for the upcoming 8 weeks. Problem is I can increase the order quantity but I cannot reduce it. That's the kind of terms they follow. and when I'm buying it from the supplier, I'm buying it at huge discount, so that and all is good. I pass it on, that is good. But the problem is there is some inflexible ordering system. So they're saying, what can you do to the supply chain so that you are able to enhance the brand presence as well as address this issue? You can make changes in the upstream value chain as well as the downstream value chain to address these issues. There is an upstream value chain where changes can be made. There's a downstream value chain where changes can be made. So supply chain, basically, you know, it's a network of flow of materials, goods and related information among manufacturers, supplier, retailer and consumers. Now I need to enhance brand value as well as address the issue of inflexible ordering and delivery system. Address the issue of inflexible ordering and delivery system. First we'll talk on the upstream value chain, then I'll talk on the downstream value chain. Upstream value chain is basically you will have to do something called as discussion, or you will have to make some changes when you are dealing with your suppliers. When you're dealing with your supplier, when the NationSmart is dealing with their suppliers or their established suppliers or the manufacturers of goods. Process of placing the order. This is the first thing they are talking about, process of placing the order. This is more of a general information. Nothing much is there in the case study. They have just given a general information saying when you place an order, you can go for e-sourcing, e-procurement and e-payment. E-sourcing, e-procurement and e-payment. This is what we learnt when we were seeing how can information technology be used. E-sourcing is inviting tenders, e-procurement is giving your purchase order in online mode, and e-payment is making payment in online mode. So they are saying when you are placing an order with your supplier, at least I didn't see the process being given. Just a minute. They either purchase it directly from manufacturers or from their established supplier at a significant discount. Question did not talk about how they are placing the order and all. The only thing they have talked on the downstream side, saying that 8 weeks orders are given, no flexibility to change. So that is on the downstream side. On the upstream side, I did not see much of information, but they're saying you go ahead and do it this way, whatever be the approach they are following. You give your information to suppliers, real-time information to them, so that can help them in forecasting demand. And if the efficiency of supplier improves, because if supplier is able to forecast demand properly, he will be able to estimate inventory properly, so that the inventory requirements will come down, and ultimately suppliers efficiency will improve, which will be passed on to end customer like NationSmart. I am the end customer for them, so it will be passed on to me. Second is on the logistics part. To enhance the brand value, they are talking about having own supplier, develop in-house logistics benefit, apply logo on entire fleet, to enhance brand visibility. If you are using third party logistics, then go ahead and use the normal logistics player, who can be an integrated logistics player. What is an integrated logistics player is? He can take care of inbound, warehousing, outbound. Have an integrated logistics partner rather than being relying on the logistics partner of the manufacturers or the supplier, because they will take care of only the inbound part. So if you have an integrated logistics partner, he will take care of getting the goods from the manufacturer. He could be a third party, but he'll get the goods from the manufacturer. He will store them in a warehouse, repackage them. he will also supply to the end customer. Outsourcing of the warehousing and packaging. Integrated logistics partner. Have an integrated logistics partner will be a large contract, and hence you can negotiate for a better price. To be honest, when I looked at this answer, I could think of only this point, because this was directly enhancing my brand value. The other 2 points which are there, I could not really relate to how it works with your inflexible ordering and delivery system. I wasn't very sure about it, but ICI has the solution, so let's follow them. When it comes to outbound logistics, when it comes to the downstream side, here I'll try to address that inflexibility order system. Downstream supply chain, inflexibility of the ordering and delivery system should be eliminated. I cannot tell them that you please place order once, whatever order you place, you cannot reduce it. So I'll have to give them flexibility, and they can order based on their actual demand. Also, if I have an information technology solution, IT solution, so I can consolidate all the data I get from my customer, and based on this I can plan my manufacturing. I can also pass this information to my supplier so that he can also plan his manufacturing, and somewhere I'll be able to have better control on the market. I'll get to know what are the goods which are moving, what are the products which are not moving, which geographies I'm doing well, which geographies I'm not doing well. POS data, points of sale system data, electronic points of sale system data. That is what happens is, what is points of sale data is, you go to departmental store A, you buy a product, the bill is passed by them. Moment the billing is done, their inventory will reduce, and somewhere the manufacturer or the supplier who has supplied this product will also get to know that this product has moved there, this product has moved in that place. Outbound logistics, I said that you can have an integrated logistics partner or use your own logistics ability. Own logistics abilities basically will help you in enhancing your brand value. How does it help you in enhancing your brand value? Because you will be using your own fleet of vehicles where your logo will be pasted, people will be able to see that, so indirectly your brand presence can get enhanced. Look at the answer now.